New York City police are inviting anyone with information on further sexual assault allegations against Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein to come forward. This, as every day now, seems to bring a steady stream of revelations and accusations. Rebecca Rossman has more.
He flirted and stared at me as if I was a piece of meat. French actress Léa Seydoux is one of the latest in Hollywood to come public with a story of how film producer Harvey Weinstein tried to sexually assault her. In an article published in The Guardian on Wednesday, the former Bond star recounts the first time she met Weinstein, who insisted she come to his hotel room for a drink under the pretense that he was considering her for a film role.
He had a lecherous look. He was using his power to get sex.
While she eventually managed to fend him off, Seydoux says she remains disgusted by Hollywood's complacency.
Everyone knew what Harvey was up to, and no one did anything. It's unbelievable that he's been able to act like this for decades and still keep his career. That's only possible because he has a huge amount of power.
Similar stories have cropped up from across the industry, from U.S. actresses including Angelina Jolie and Gwyneth Paltrow. 3 women accused Weinstein of rape. Filipino-Italian model Ambra Batilana Gutierrez even recorded an encounter with Weinstein as part of a 2015 police sting operation made public by the New Yorker magazine.
Please sit there, please. 1 minute.
No,
I ask you, go to the bathroom.
Please, I don't want to do something I don't want
Go
to.
to the bathroom. Come here, I want to leave. When the guy comes with my
Why
jacket,
yesterday you touched my breast?
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on, I'm used to that. Come on.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in.
No, but I'm not used to
I
that.
won't do it again. Come on, sit here.
In light of the accusations, Weinstein was fired from his own film studio on Sunday. The Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, which organizes the Oscars, has said it will also be meeting on Saturday to discuss the allegations. Weinstein denies any non-consensual sexual contact with any women.
And for more, we're joined by Rhonda Richford, Paris correspondent for The Hollywood Reporter, which covers the film and television industry. Thank you for being with us here on France 24. We'd heard allegations for years. They'd never gone public. It was rumors that, well, you know, when you'd go to the Cannes Film Festival about Harvey Weinstein. Are you surprised at just how big this is?
Not necessarily surprised at how big it is because it has been going on for 20, 30 years. I think the amount of women that have come out, especially this last week, it's been very surprising. And the level, frankly, of the stars that have come out. Yesterday we had Léa Seydoux, we've had Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie. There had been this open secret, but I think it had been suspected that it was starlets or people that hadn't really made it, certain rumors about celebrities that hadn't made it to the A-list. When you got to that level, I think that was shocking to everyone and how far it had gone and how far it went up the chain.
When was the first time you heard about Harvey Weinstein's street rep?
Oh, I would have to say years ago, unfortunately. And I've heard even some specifics that, I'd heard the hotel and the bathrobe and everything quite down to the specifics and thought, that's a story, it's a rumor, but that everyone has come out with the exact same story has been quite shocking.
Now, the concept of the Hollywood casting couch is notorious. Mm-hmm. Weinstein, a particularly powerful figure in Hollywood. He's the head of, I guess, a production and a distribution company that all the major art house films that go to America from this continent seem to go through him, it seems.
That is true, and he is the Oscar man. I mean, he has 100 Oscars at least under his belt, and he, to say that he runs the town might be a little bit of a stretch now, but certainly it was true for a very long period of time during the 2000s and 90s. He is, he is sort of the face of Hollywood abroad as well. He's so well known for all of his films that he's produced, and he's brought up directors like Quentin Tarantino that, he made them. He made actresses like Gwyneth Paltrow. So he's that guy. He's
not undone by all these famous actresses that you're mentioning, but by a 21-year-old model. And what does that tell you?
Well, what it tells me is he wasn't undone by that because the New York police did not, the New York district attorney did not press charges on that. They felt like they had it. The police felt like they had the evidence. The district attorney did not. So he wasn't undone by that. That was continued to be covered up until the other people piled on as well.
The other people pile on. How do you feel like we've been in this country through the Strauss-Kahn affair, where when it happened, people said, hey, people knew about his predatorial behavior for years. Why did everybody, including the media, keep quiet about it for so long? Is it exactly the same thing?
I think it is the power structure. It's also that, I mean, the culture in the United States is very litigious, and he threatened to sue a lot of people. He had the money to do it. He had the backup to do it. And I think that fear also drove people to keep it quiet, aside from his Hollywood power, but also the fear of getting sued, frankly.
Yeah, this culture of lawsuits in the United States, that sets it apart. But the story of the predatory male in a position of power, is that universal?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I think we've seen that in many countries.
People say, oh,
Italy as
Hollywood
well.
has a specific culture. Is that true, though? Or is it just any industry that makes a lot of money?
I mean, I can't speak to all industries, but I do think that it is something that is quite common. Like, we've seen it in Italian politics, we've seen it in Russian politics. You know, we do see it in many different places. I think Hollywood specifically, because it does make movies and it does make something that reaches every person, that, you know, it's sort of known for that. And the stories go back to, you know, the 1920s, 1930s and Marilyn Monroe. And so you just have this constant deluge of these kinds of things.
Now, it's not just Hollywood, other media organizations, and we saw with Fox News and some of the top people there who've been forced out in the past year by sex scandals, there's the sense that that was the Republican scandal, and that Harvey Weinstein, because he was such a big donor to the Democratic Party, that this is the Democrat scandal. Is that the way you see it?
I think people are trying to frame it that way, but I don't necessarily think it's a Democratic scandal. I mean, we've had other sex scandals in the Democratic Party as well. Elliot Spitzer, you know, these things have come up. I think it is more a symptom of the time that we're in that these kinds of behaviors, these kinds of actions are no longer acceptable. And so it has started slow, and then these other media stories have come up, and now it's really a deluge, an avalanche of accusations against different men in power, depending, you know, on the
But
industry.
surely, as you were saying at the outset, the Obamas, Hillary Clinton, they must have known who he was when they took his money.
True, but again, you know, they were stories, and nobody had the proof. Nobody had come out and really said it. Those had been rumors for a long time. Now, is that true or not? We don't know. But, you know, in the case of specifically George Clooney, like he said, oh, I'd heard these rumors, and I thought he was just kind of a womanizer. That's acceptable if it's consensual. But when you finally had people coming out saying this is not consensual and willing to speak up and willing to be on the record and willing, frankly, to face possible lawsuits, then I think that's what changed the tone.
An industry publication like yours, The Hollywood Reporter, how do you cover a story like this?
Well, we've been covering it basically from the point of view of the victims that have come forward and publishing their statements, as well as interviewing some people that have been associated with it.
Wanting to, the people who've come forward, though there have been, of course, arguments going on within Hollywood, some siding with Harvey Weinstein. What was your reaction when you saw that?
I think that's perhaps a relic of the reaction that he has always been such a big man in Hollywood. I think those voices will be tempered over time.
They support him or they fear him, the ones who back
I think that they were supporting him because they feared him. But I think that as more and more have come out, and these, I mean, you can't brush it under the rug now. It's not 2 or 3 people. It's, you know, up to 20 people. There's no way that they'll be able to really stay on his side.
Now, they say here in France, again, I bring it back to the Strauss-Kahn affair, that something did change in French politics after that scandal. Will something change in Hollywood?
I think it's inevitable. I think it will change on 2 levels. I think it will change in the way people behave on sets and in work. But I also think that this is not the last. I think that there will be more.
There'll be others.
I do believe that.
What makes you say that?
Partially because I've heard that from a lot of people and from a lot of friends, and frankly, I know it's a bit anecdotal, but even with my friends on Facebook that still work, that are still living in Hollywood and working, you know, I've had friends posting hey, I had this boss that tried to kiss me on set. I've had, these stories have been coming out. And people saying that they had been fearful of sharing that before, but now they feel like they can say it. So I think that there will probably be other, probably lesser, but probably others that will be coming out.
Could we see some here as well? I mean, you powerful moguls in France, so we have a big film industry.
You do. And, there are rumors about, people in France that have similar behavior, but I don't know if the culture will change. Although I think Léa Seydoux could be a good bridge for that because she has been vocal about what happened to her, and I mean, perhaps it will allow some other French actresses to feel more free.
Rhonda Richford of The Hollywood Reporter, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.